Wings to Fly is a children's book about gaining confidence and working to succeed, told from the perspective of a young girl who loves to play basketball. She is often left out by her teammates until she meets her guardian angel who teaches her that success takes perseverance. Wings to Fly is a great read for all children. I would highly recommend this book. If you would like to make a purchase, please click on the link in my description box below. Oluale Kossola, aka Cudjo Lewis, was one of the last survivors of the Atlantic Slave Trade. He took the voyage from Africa along with 115 others, and they arrived here in the U.S. in 1860 in Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile is home to an African-American treasure many people are unaware of, Africatown, and a man whose legacy lives on today. Cudjo Lewis is a prime example of hidden history during this Black History Month. A cast iron image pays tribute to the last surviving member of the final slave ship that came into America. Cudjo Lewis is one of more than 100 slaves captured in West Africa and brought here on the Clotilda in 1859 after a Mobile businessman made a bet he could sneak them in illegally.
Remember the story, but don't hold it against them, because if you do, you're going to become the master of your hate. And you're going to be a slave to yourself. And that's the worst kind of slavery to do, when you have self-induced slavery.
Israel Lewis III is the great-great-grandson of Cudjo Lewis. He talks of how his ancestors formed their own governing community in North Mobile, Africatown.
Our ancestors actually came from a culture, a secret society that was set right in the middle of Mobile society. And the Mobile people didn't even know it. They didn't realize these people had their own language, their own religion, their own outlook of life.
The bust of Cudjo Lewis sits in front of Union Missionary Baptist Church. He was one of the founders. Services are still held there today. A plaque in front of the church displays his African name, Kazula.
Later in life, in 1927, he shared his story. Now, to the people that say none of us come from Africa, or only a few of us come from Africa, you can't deny the documentation. Fortunately, he lived to be 95 years old, so he was able to share his story.
The United States banned the importation of slaves in 1808, but we didn't ban slavery in the United States until December of 1865 with the ratification of the 13th Amendment. And one of the things that means is that the vast majority of the slaves that were freed had been in the United States for many generations, and their history was largely lost to time. The dynamics of slavery means that the families had been broken up and even oral histories were largely lost. And that leaves a specific gap in the historical record, because there are very few first-hand accounts of what life was like before the Middle Passage. But there is at least one extraordinary exception. Oluale Kossola, who is otherwise known as Cudjo Lewis, was born in what is today Benin in West Africa around 1840, and like millions of others, his tribe was captured by a marauding tribe and sold to white slavers. And his extraordinary tale of capture and survival as one of the last slaves to be imported from Africa to the United States is history that deserves to be remembered.
He didn't die until 1935, and he spoke about coming over here to America. He spoke about his experience on the slave ships. He spoke about his life in Africa, and he spoke about many others who could share the same story. He provided accounts of his life to a Black journalist named Zora Neale Hurston. Cudjo was only 19 years old when members of the Dahomey tribe captured him and sold him into slavery. He spoke about how this was a regular thing. He spoke about how he's been expecting this for a while. On the night he was captured, men from the Dahomey African tribe made their way into his home and they snatched him up. During this time, it was illegal to import slaves into the U.S. Go back and watch my videos on the Gullah Wars. Part 1, the Gullah Wars. And Part 2 is about the Stono Rebellion. And see why they really wanted to stop the importing of slaves. Most of the 115 Africans died on their way to the Americas. Many of them died due to hunger and disease. But Cudjoe survived. In a book called The Story of the Last Black Cargo, you can learn about his life in depth. On December 14th, 1927, Zora Neale Hurston took a train from New York to Mobile, Alabama to conduct an interview with him. He spoke about how there were communication issues once he arrived over here because everybody spoke a different language. He spoke about how people were broken mentally and physically. Go back and watch my video called Are Black People from Africa? We have people like Phyllis Wheatley, who wrote about her experiences. People like Richard Allen, who founded the Free African Union Society in the 1700s. People like Martin Delaney, who was actually the first person to call us African Americans, not Jesse Jackson in 1988. This was back in the 1800s. R.I.P. Cudjo Lewis, one of the last survivors of the Transatlantic Slave Trade. But listen, this is not to say that we wasn't here in America first, because we were. Go and watch my video, Are Black People from Africa? Go and read They Came Before Columbus by Ivan Van Sertima. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. And let me know what you think in the comment section.